World-renowned close combat expert Todd Fossey is fond of saying, "Don't be a gunfighter, be a fighter with a gun." I really like this quote, and I like to apply it to Eskrima in the sense that an Eskrimador is not a stick fighter, an Eskrimador is a fighter. And sometimes they're fighters with a stick, sometimes with a knife, sometimes with their empty hands, and all sorts of other implements. But to understand this, you have to understand Eskrima. Eskrima is associated with the stick, and we use the stick a lot as a training tool. And of course, we use it as a weapon, but it is so much more than just a weapon. First and foremost, it is a tool to educate how to move. It is a tool to teach timing, to teach range, to teach body mechanics. It is so much more than just a weapon, but it can be a weapon, and in the right hands, a very effective weapon. When we train traditional Eskrima, we always start training with the stick first. It is the first thing we learn. Guru Dan Rotano was fond of saying that everything he needed to learn, he could learn from the stick. And I believe that every premise of fighting, every ideal of fighting, footwork, timing, body mechanics, power generation, flow, it's all there in the stick. You can learn so much. The stick is an amazing tool, and it can be a practical weapon for self-defense, such as a walking stick or improvised weapons. And it's this kind of improvisation that is the hallmark of Filipino martial arts. See, we aren't stick fighters. We're fighters who train with sticks. We're fighters who train with knives. We're fighters who train with swords. We're fighters who train with staves. And most importantly, we are fighters who train with our empty hands. Filipino martial arts is literally the art of adaptability, the art of learning how to be a tool user. And because you're a tool user, it doesn't mean you have to carry tools such as sticks and knives. It just means by understanding their use, you are capable of using everyday objects as improvised sticks, knives, staffs, walking sticks. It doesn't matter what you train with. If you train with different types of weapons, you are way more capable of finding weapons in your environment. The movements are applicable to many different things. The problem is when we identify too much with the weapons we train with, then we become weapons dependent and weapons fixated. I'm a stick fighter. I'm a knife fighter. I'm a gun fighter. Stay away from that thinking, or it will pigeonhole you into being one thing, and it will limit you to that object. Don't get me wrong. If you carry a knife for work or as a tool, and you believe that you may have to defend yourself with that tool as an improvised weapon, then you should train to be very good with that weapon or that tool. You should train to become very adept with it. And if you don't carry a knife, by training with a knife, you can pick things up in your environment and use them. A screwdriver, a Bic pen, a jagged stick, a pointed rock. All of these things can be used in the same movements that we use when we're training knife. However, understand that if you are using knife training to help you be able to improvise self-defense tools out of common objects, be very point-oriented. This is where the Medusa system and Piper really shine, because they're very adaptable to things like flashlights, pens, and chopsticks, whatever, a fork. It doesn't matter, whatever you find in your environment. We are constantly surrounded by weapons, but if we fixate on what we carry, we won't see what we have in our environment. And you likely will not carry in every single environment that you go to, but what you carry with you are your skills, your creativity, your ability to improvise. That is always with you. And this is why I try to stay out of the weapon-specific mindset. I train to understand weapons so that I can make them in my environment or find them in my environment. And yes, often I do have tools on me and I can use them as improvised weapons. And I do carry a walking stick. I do often carry that or a crook-top cane, partially because of my sciatica, but also because events in my life has taught me that having a tool as a force multiplier can be very handy and important to have in certain situations. But I don't identify with that weapon. I don't identify with any weapon, because if I don't have it with me, that could cause me to be demoralized if I have to fight in a situation. And I train my empty hands very diligently as part of my weapon training. But understand this, I do use the term stick fighter. I do use it when I talk to people about arnis and eskrima, because I have to meet them where they are. Also, using terms like stick fighter, cane fighter, or even knife fighter are marketing tools to attract attention to what you are offering. I know many people in the cane fighting community who use the label cane fighter, but are simply well-rounded fighters. Master Guy Deroux, for example, can fight with his empty hand, improvised weapons, edged weapons, and all sorts of other things. But he markets the cane because he understands the niche that he is marketing to, and also he understands that the cane is one of the few force multipliers that you can carry, because it is so much more than just a force multiplier. It is also an ambulatory aid. So he is marketing to people who want a little extra security and don't want to break the law by carrying prohibited weapons and things that have no other use than being a weapon. As you age, force disparity becomes more real, and a weapon like a cane is perfect for someone who wants something that they can control the scale of force that they are using quite easily. So be a cane fighter, be a stick fighter, but train to be so much more, even if you label yourself that. Thank you.